Stuck at the funeral home, Ellie couldn't wait to dial her boyfriend Paul's number, but what was not to be expected? When Paul heard her voice, he actually hung up the phone straight away. It turns out that since Ellie's death in the car accident, Paul has been unable to accept the truth. Recently, he has been having hallucinations. He suspected that he was mentally ill, while Ellie was in disbelief. Jack had come up behind her. He advised Ellie to accept the reality. This will only make those who love her suffer more. In order to make Ellie die, Jack pulled off a cloth cover, and that was the last straw that broke the camel's back, because in the mirror, her eyes were sunken in and her face was bloodless.
Why do I look like a corpse?
Because you are a corpse.
There was nothing left for Ellie to say. She was slowly coming to terms with the fact that she was dead.
I am dead.
At that moment, there was a sudden noise outside the window. It turned out to be the neighbor's boy who was stunned by the strange scene, because Ellie was his primary school teacher. But Jack didn't take it seriously. No one would believe the nonsense of a child, and by now Ellie was completely brainwashed.
Why do I look like a corpse?
Because you are a corpse. You are dead. You will never live again.
But as soon as Jack finished speaking, a mouthful of mist appeared on the mirror. Jack looks flustered, and when Ellie wasn't looking, he wiped away the marks on the mirror. From then on, Ellie accepted the fact that she was a corpse. Whenever someone came, Jack would inject him with a mysterious drug. That day, a police officer came to visit. He wanted to visit his recently deceased brother before the funeral. At that moment, Ellie's head suddenly moved. The police officer saw this scene. Out of professional sensitivity, he seemed to sense that something was wrong, so he asked for 2 minutes alone with his brother. Jack couldn't say no, so he left for a while. The fat cop then walked over to Ellie, lift up the white cloth on her body, because there was no clothing on Ellie at this point. He had to close his eyes and feel her heartbeat with his hand. At that moment, Jack suddenly came in. The fat cop didn't know how to explain this embarrassing scene. He could only run away from the scene. On the other hand, Paul, Ellie's boyfriend, came to school to pack up Ellie's clothes. The boy stopped him and told him there was a good chance the teacher was still alive, because he saw his teacher standing in front of the window of the funeral parlor in a red dress. This was supposed to be good news, but Paul lost his temper and knocked the boy to the ground. He thought the boy was teasing him, but on the drive home, he saw in the window of the clothes seller on the side of the road the red dress on the model. Ellie happened to have one. He got a chill down his spine. He drove all the way to the funeral home to confront Jack, but Jack was as calm as ever. He said people can't come back from the dead. How could a child's ravings be taken seriously? How could Paul believe him? He barged his way in despite the obstruction, found the door to the funeral home, shouting Ellie's name at the top of his lungs. The